Welcome everybody to, this is our first Startup Monterey Bay Connect for 2022. And it's kind of looking a lot like 2021's first meeting did. Here we are back on Zoom again. COVID's out of control. Life is good. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We have a great lineup looking ahead to what can we expect for 2022. And so let's roll forward. We have up a poll there, the welcome poll. We like to find out where everybody came from and find out who came from the furthest away. If you think you came from the furthest away, drop a note in chat about where you're from. Okay, in case you're not yet familiar with Zoom, we're on Zoom. And we like to make good use of chat here. So if you've got a question, put it in chat. We'll make sure that it gets answered. Remember, your questions will be visible to all attendees, although you can send a private message to one of the attendees by selecting their name. We suggest you stay in speaker view for the best viewing, but gallery works also, then you get to see everybody. And let's see, keep your webcam off, please. If you are not one of the presenters, we'd like you to keep your camera off so that we can focus on the presenters. Not that we don't want to see you. If you want to be seen, everybody turn on your cameras now, and then you'll have a chance to be seen. Please keep your microphone muted. We love you. We love to hear from you, not necessarily from your dog's kids or whatever other wonderful sounds come through. And last but not least, this meeting is being recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded on this meeting, keep your camera and microphone off. All right, let's roll forward. Where are we? Special thanks to our sponsors, CSU Monterey Bay and Startup Monterey Bay. Those are us. The Economic Development Administration is our major funder, and our marketing partner, the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership. Let's roll. Welcome to Startup Monterey Bay Connect. We are here to network, which will be much easier once we're in live mode again, which we hope to be soon. We had hoped for this month, but not this time. We're here to share and learn, find out what's happening, and build a community of entrepreneurship in the region. Let me come back to the welcome poll. And here's where we're from. We've got a couple people in from San Benito County, 3 in from Santa Cruz County, and the bulk from Monterey County, and 6 people from somewhere else. Let's see, somewhere else is Carmel Valley, Monterey, California. Yeah, those are Paso Robles, which is a little ways away, and East Garrison, California. Is that East Garrison as in right here in Monterey County, or is there a different East Garrison?
Would be right here in Monterey County.
Got it. Cool. And Travis clarified that he's from Carmel, but he's currently on Oahu. And then I got a note here, Mitchell is from the Netherlands. So I was about to say, Travis, you win coming from Oahu, but I don't think so. I think Mitchell from the Netherlands has got you. Cool. All right. Let's see what we got. Let's roll forward here. This is the Connect team. My name is Brad Barbeau. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Innovation and Economic Development at Cal State Monterey Bay. That's a long way of saying our Entrepreneurship Institute. Mary Jo Zank is our Program Director. Say hello, Mary Jo.
Hi, everyone.
We'll hear from Mary Jo in a moment as she puts us through our paces with the monthly news quiz. Dan Ripke. Dan, are you on?
I am right over here.
Oh, you're hidden under my chat. There you are. Cool. And Jenny Kwan, I don't think that Jenny is on. She's the Deputy Director of the IIED. Lynette Lathrop. She runs everything. Lynette, you're here. Say hi.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Cool. And Andy Rabago, who does our video for us. Aliyah Ibarra, who organizes this event for us. Say hello, Aliyah.
Hi, everyone.
And Marianne D'Souza. Get rid of that just a sec. Okay. So we'd like to find out who else is on here. So we'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves. Whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself by one slide. Let me talk about, say a little bit about what's coming up tonight. We have 6 presenters on tonight. People involved in looking at what's going on and what's happening from Monterey County Economic Development, San Benito Economic Development, the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Farm Bureau of Monterey, and the California Governor's Office. So this is quite a great lineup. We should learn lots tonight. And I want everybody to take notes on what they say is going to happen in 2022, because in our first meeting of 2023, we're going to go back and look and see if those things actually happen, just to put them on the spot. All right, now we get to do introductions. There we go. So say hello in chat. This is your chance to say, who are you and what are you up to? Tell us a little bit about your business. Give us something interesting about you to look at, put that in chat, and we'll take a look at those as they pop up. All right. But now, while you're doing that, let's get ourselves started here on the monthly MJ's News Quiz. So MJ, what have you got for us to stump the chumps tonight?
Hi, Brad. Thank you all. So each month I look at what's in some of the local papers, as well as what we've been posting about entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurs in the region, and try to find 3 interesting questions that, if you're following entrepreneurship in the region, you may have seen. So let's go to our first question. What is the name of the company that was founded during the 2021 Techstar Startup Weekend and went on to win the social venture division of the 2021 Startup Challenge? And we've got 3 options for you: Cruise Foam, Levered Learning, or Seeds for STEM. So hopefully, if you're reading our newsletter, you would have seen this. If not, make your best guess. I can't tell who, how many people have done the poll. So if you think,
We've got 22 right now.
okay, there. So anybody else want to guess? All right, going once, going twice, going 3 times. So it looks like the favorite is Seeds for STEM. And let's see what the winner is. Seeds for STEM. You guys have been reading our newsletter. Good job. Okay, so the next question came out was published in the Monterey County Weekly. And it's the name of a Silicon Valley startup that is now offering Monterey County homeowners the option to add a real factory-built accessory dwelling unit. This has become a big issue. And they now have a real company offering it here. Abodu, Dash Housing LLC, or Innovo Solutions Inc. Okay, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, so the favorite is dash housing? Well, the answer is Abodu. So I thought I'd put a trick question in there because Dash Housing was one of our companies that participated in Startup Challenge. But this is this company is now offering an affordable accessory dwelling unit for Monterey County. Pretty cool. All right, next
Okay,
question.
quick question. Is this the company formerly known as 360 Solutions?
No,
or
it's completely different.
completely different? Wow, these guys
And they
are popping
actually,
up all over.
they have built them in other communities. They're now offering it in Monterey County. So Barrier 360 Structures has a competition in Monterey County now. So, all right. So the last question was another interesting story I saw in the Herald about a gentleman named LaMarcus Lewis, who's recently opened up a popular athletic shoe store called Soul Source Boutique. And it's in which city? Salinas, Santa Cruz, or Seaside? So this gentleman was played in 3 high school sports in one of the high schools around here in the 90s. Went on to college, played college, and then has come back. And this started out as a hobby, and now he's opening up a store. Okay, so it looks like we've got enough people participating. Anyone, one more guess? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the popular guess is Seaside, and the answer is Salinas. And LaMarcus was a star football and 2 other sports at Salinas High School. So he's got quite a history here. So, and I believe he's like a father of 4. It's a real great article. Yeah, check it out. All right, that's it for this month, Brad.
Cool, thank you, MJ. All right, so if you want to beat the quiz and be in the know, watch the news feed at startupmontereybay.com and at santacruzworks.org. Those news feeds will keep you up to date. All right, what have we got next? Couple of announcements. Startup Launchpad. If you've got a startup or you know somebody who's working on a startup and they need some help and guidance, Startup Launchpad is here as a virtual incubator to help guide them through the process. We do drop-in advising, we have an ongoing mentoring program, and we have a growing Launchpad learning database of modules on how to start a business. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Who's next? If you know of an existing business that is looking to get online and needs some help, this is for small businesses who have been struggling through COVID and maybe continuing to struggle through COVID as COVID is going. Get Virtual is a great student-run program. We offer it at CSU Monterey Bay. We are the largest chapter. It was started at UC Santa Cruz. Students will help them build websites, get their email up to speed, get their social media going. This has been a real boon to the clients who the students have worked with. We've got a new semester starting in a couple of weeks, so looking for those clients. This is a free service. The only thing the clients would be charged are web hosting fees, those kinds of separate fees, but Get Virtual itself is a free service. Let's roll forward. Upcoming events, what do we have going on? Startup Monterey Bay Connect, we're here. But we're going to be back here in another month on February 8th. The theme for that month is going to be on social nonprofits. Monterey County has one of the highest concentrations of not-for-profits in the country. We have an amazing number of amazing nonprofits in the region, and we want to feature some of those and also hear from the community foundations for Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties about how they can help people with their startup nonprofits. So that'll be what we're doing next month. What's up next? Startup Weekend. This is going to be our 10th anniversary Startup Weekend. Yes, we started 10 years ago, January 28th to 30th. This is going to be online. I'm sorry to say that we were really hoping to be face-to-face. We planned it to be face-to-face, and then Omicron took over. So we've had to go online, but we have an amazing platform to run this on called AirMeet. That's going to make this as close to being face-to-face as you could imagine, given that we will be online for this. January 28th to 30th, if you know somebody who wants to start a business, they've got a business idea, they'd love to start a business, but they don't have a business idea, this is for beginning entrepreneurs or experienced entrepreneurs who want to be immersed for a weekend in starting a business with a team. So it starts Friday evening. People come in, whoever has a business idea pitches it. We select the ideas that the group likes the best and form teams to work on them through the weekend. And the teams all pitch their ideas at the end of the day on Sunday. This is a great event. It's been really successful. As was mentioned earlier during the poll, Seeds for STEM got started in last year's Startup Weekend. They are rocking and rolling. Hopefully we'll hear from them on February 8th. We'll get an update from them on how they're doing. Mary Jo, anything else we should say about Startup Weekend?
Just come. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. Cool. Just come. That's the way. Just do it, as we say. Okay. Following on the heels of Startup Weekend will be Startup Challenge to take those businesses to the next level. This will be our 13th, our lucky Startup Challenge. Applications are due by March 7th. They are open now. Go to startupchallengemb.com to apply to this year's Startup Challenge. We've had over 800 businesses win over $500,000 in prize money, and lots and lots of really good businesses have come out of the Startup Challenge over the years it's been around. We're excited to be running it again. So come and join us for Startup Challenge. What's next? It's time to get to our presentation. So a reminder, if you have a question, don't hold it in your head. It'll get lost there. Put it into chat so it won't get lost, and we'll make sure it gets asked. All right. So let's roll to our presentation. So we've got, as I said, a great group of presenters tonight. We have Paul Martin and Jennifer Coker from the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau, Norm Groot from the Farm Bureau, Renee Wells from San Benito Economic Development, Richard Vaughan from Monterey County Economic Development, and Dana Stroud from the Governor's Office from GoBiz, which supports business out of the Governor's Office. This will be a great group to hear from, to talk about what have we got in store for us for 2022. So let me introduce our first speaker or speakers. And they are Paul and Jennifer Coker and Paul Martin from the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Paul is the Vice President of Finance and Regulatory Affairs at the MCCVB. He's been in banking, telecommunications, renewable energy, and now he's in tourism. He has found his home. Interesting, I saw Sean Cometh is with us tonight. Paul has his MBA from St. Mary's College, where Sham used to teach for many years, and a bachelor's in mathematical economics. So he's going to have great projections for what's going to happen. And because it's mathematical economics, what we'll know is they'll be wrong. But that's how economics works.
Yeah.
All right. So, and with him is Jennifer Coker, who is a certified destination management executive, and she's a member of the senior leadership team for the MCCVB. She works together with the MCCVB president and CEO to maintain relationships with local government, investors, and stakeholders. So, Paul and Jennifer, what do you see in store for tourism in the region for 2022?
Hey, thanks, Brad. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the great introduction. Yeah, Sean was actually my cohort leader at St. Mary's, so we
Oh,
know
very
each other
cool.
very well. Traveled around Thailand and India and together, so we do know each other. As Brad's email did ask us to discuss the outlook for hospitality in 2022, as well as the opportunities and challenges facing the industry that might force us in new directions, which of course means innovation, right? Everyone here knows Peter Drucker, right? He once said, business has two functions, marketing and innovation, right? So as the sales and marketing arm for Monterey County Tourism, our work fulfills the first of those two responsibilities. And your job as entrepreneurs is to fulfill the second role. Dr. Drucker also said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So we at the MCCVB are engaged with our partners to create that future. Brad asked for the outlook through 2022, but I'm going to do that one better and share our outlook into 2023. With that, here's what our crystal ball shows. So with COVID, a lot of our work, we've gotten used to indexing current and future performance to 2019 before this all happened. So this chart shows some good news, and that is hotel occupancy for leisure, or what we call transient business. And it shows it from during the pandemic in 2020 out through today and out to the middle of 2023. So this segment pretty much recovered by April of this year, and we expect it to remain at 2019 levels going forward. Now for some bad news. With large gatherings essentially banned during the pandemic and now only being allowed with certain protocols, the green line shows where group meetings, gathering, and conventions went compared to 2019 in Monterey County. So it did remain seriously depressed through the middle of last year and is trying to recover, but that's happening in fits and starts as news affects organizers' hesitancy. We expect a long, slow recovery in this segment through 2024. So you blend these together and you get the overall occupancy on the blue line. So this will remain slightly depressed until that group business really recovers back to normal. Given this ugly picture, you won't be surprised to hear that visitor spending in Monterey County that was $3.2 billion in 2019, supporting 27,000 jobs in the county and generated $298 million in state and local taxes, fell to just $1.5 billion in visitor spending in 2020, supporting on average under 19,000 jobs and generating just $155 million in state and local taxes. 2021 numbers aren't out yet, but will likely fall midway between these highs and the lows from the prior decade. So that's the high level outlook. What are our challenges? Well, like everybody else, hospitality is challenged by the labor situation. And this chart shows on the orange line, the occupancy index, again, back compared to 2019. And then on the blue line, the employment index in hospitality. And you can see they kind of overshot each other at times, but we still remain below employment levels and slightly below occupancy levels from 2019. So there's still some issues about getting people back into the workforce and working in hospitality. Of course, water remains an unresolved issue in Monterey County that could have impacts on hospitality going forward. And then you've got Omicron and potential other variants that continue to threaten group business. With meeting planners now pivoting their in-person events to virtual and hybrid meetings. So in response to the group planner hesitancy, the Monterey Conference Center has deployed an innovative solution. They partnered with IDS to install what's called Canvas Studio in the conference center. This enables those desired hybrid meetings. Several groups have used the technology this past fall, and there continue to be discussions with others for use into 2022. We'll continue to promote this channel, this opportunity, and cutting edge technology in all of our marketing channels. The beauty of this solution is that it immerses attendees in the scenic beauty of Monterey County from anywhere in the world. Now, on the marketing side, innovation, at least from the hospitality industry perspective, comes from our digital programs, where we do audience building, retargeting, geofencing, etc. That might not be terribly innovative for anyone entrenched in the startup tech innovation space, but it is on the leading edge, if not the bleeding edge, in hospitality marketing. So now I'm going to kick it over to Jennifer, who's got another innovative solution that we're about to deploy to help our visitors in the area.
Great. Thanks, Paul. And thank you, Brad and team, for inviting us to be here today. It's such an honor to be able to speak in front of a room of very, very smart people. So thank you so much. So what does innovation look like in the DMO world? Well, to give you a little history, nationwide, walk-ins continue to decline in your traditional brick and mortar visitor center, like the one we had at El Estero Lake. So we really need to pivot and meet people where they are. So we're really excited to announce the launch of our virtual visitor center on February 1st. It's going to offer a mobile, desktop, and app-based options. And it really is about meeting at the intersection of a traditional visitor center and a mobile first and location-based marketing system. It'll provide the opportunity to push destination dispersion, giving visitors alternative ideas away from high density areas. There will be a geofencing component to it. So wherever you are in the destination, you can use the app to kind of figure out what's near you, what can you get to quickly, or what if you have a couple hours in the evening, how are you going to fill your hours in that evening while you're here? And it really does turn online planning from a URL platform to a more engaging IRL experience. And to give you a look at what that looks like, here's a little use case here. So say, for instance, you're in PG, you want tacos, but you don't want to go too far. So you open up the handy dandy See Monterey app, which offers location services and filters. And as you'll see there, it's kind of going through some filters, and then it'll take you to their virtual door or their doorstep, and you can get your tacos. There we go. So it's taken us to Peppers in PG, which if you haven't been there, please go by. They have amazing margaritas and tacos. So that gives you a little snippet of what destination innovation looks like for us. Again, it's meeting people where they are. Technology continues to grow and take over. So we're going to forge through with that. And with that, we'd like to give you guys the opportunity. So Some of you, I see a lot of young faces on the camera, so you may not be familiar with this marketing term, which we've borrowed from Tom Bodette of Motel 6, and in conjunction with Edison's innovation of the light bulb, we'll leave the light on for you. So we ask you guys, any other bright ideas out there? And I'm sure our partners are willing to listen. So Paul and I are happy to take any questions. Let's see here. Do we plan on, thank you, Renee. Do we plan on using virtual reality? There is a component to that in Visit Widget. However, I'll give you a little sneak peek. That's probably going to come with 2.0. So stay tuned.
All right. Any other questions?
And then
If
where
you-
can, let's like Lynette's asking where we can download the app.
Ah,
So again, it'll launch February 1st, but if you just go to either the Google Play Store or the iOS Apple Store, you will be able to just type in See Monterey and then you'll see our app come up.
cool. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jennifer and Paul. All right. So let's move to the other actually the biggest sector of our economy in this area, over to, of course, agriculture, and to talk a little bit about what's happening with agriculture over the next year. We have Norm Groot, who's the executive director of the Monterey Farm Bureau. Norm, just looking at his bio here, Norm actually started his career pulling weeds at his dad's nursery, which sounds like sort of a low place to start, but he was only 5 years old at the time. So he did get an early start in agriculture, and he did his degree in business accounting. Norm, I got to talk to you about that. It's accounting, really, at University of Southern California, which I would have said, boo, except that my daughter's finishing her degree there now. Cool. So he's been executive director of the Monterey County Farm Bureau since late 2010. He's deeply steeped in our community, in all aspects of our community. He's been chair of the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce. He's been on their board of directors for 6 years. He's on the Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, Government Affairs Committee, and the Hartnell College Ag Business and Tech Institute Advisory Committee. Norm also sports absolutely the best cowboy hat in the county of Monterey, although he is not wearing it this evening. Thanks for being here, Norm. Looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate the intro, and it's nice to be here and share from my crystal ball what I expect is going to happen this year. And you can challenge me next year as to whether or not that crystal ball really works. So go ahead to the next slide, please. So I'm going to cover a few topics real quick here for everyone. Of course, water is of utmost importance to agriculture, and the drought impacts are of concern because really without water, we can't grow crops. That's just a simple basic biology equation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the market disruptions and where we're at with COVID, technology, and how that's moving us forward in the Salinas Valley and other parts of Monterey County. Important research, and then finally, what I really think is going to happen with the future outlook for farming this next year. Next slide. So these are, just as a reminder, what our water resources are here in Monterey County. We have 2 reservoirs, one built in the 50s, one in the 60s. You can see the capacity there, but where we're at right now, because of the drought, you see those low levels of percentages of capacity. And really what happens here is the water is released from these 2 reservoirs into the Salinas River during the irrigation cycle to recharge our groundwater basin as we're extracting it out to irrigate and use it for public consumption in our cities. We're also replacing it at the same time. And we have about a 4% deficit at this point, meaning we're extracting about 4% more than we're actually replacing at this time. Next slide. So here on the left, you can see our reservoir levels. This was Lake San Antonio back in late September, and it got a lot drier before it got a lot wetter. We were very fortunate that we got all that rain back in November and December. So we feel very fortunate that we were able to do some storage there. But really what counts is where are we with our groundwater basin level at this point? And we've noted very little decline in the wells so far. Our groundwater basin is fairly robust and does manage very well as far as recharge goes. So we're not really seeing a whole lot of drought impacts at this point. Extractions have remained steady throughout the irrigation cycles as well as the consumptive uses. And then continued drought obviously will impact the way that we can recharge that groundwater basin. But overall, the groundwater basin is holding pretty steady at this point. And we're pretty unique in California in that aspect. We are self-contained in our water resources in the Salinas Valley. And that really puts us in the driver's seat so that we can control what we're doing. Next slide. So the other part of this is not just groundwater quality, but also groundwater quantity. And sustainability is something that's required now that we have to balance our basin by 2040. In other words, less than 20 years from now, we have to equate the cycle of recharge and extraction and really remove that 4% overall deficit. And so we've been required to develop plans and new projects that will lead to that sustainability over the next 20 years. And we really spent millions of dollars developing those plans, 5 of which will be submitted by the end of this month to the state for approval. And then it's going to cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to get that 4% deficit into place. And that's really going to be paid by those who are water users. And with irrigation consuming 90% of the groundwater that we're extracting each year, that means farms and ranch operations are going to be the ones who are going to really foot the bill on this. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at in the market right now. COVID really took a major hit to our market, much like the tourism industry saw a drop in utilization. We also saw a drop in our markets. Essentially in March 2020, when we all went into lockdown, we lost a lot of our business. Commercial contracts basically vaporized. Those were the contracts with convention centers, big events, kitchen and cafe facilities and businesses, those types of things. As we shut down, everyone stayed home, and really the focus became on retail. Really, the supermarkets were the ones who were really the sole source of where our product went. Pricing fluctuations really have not recovered from this. We're still seeing some pricing shocks as the market is trying to adjust to the new paradigm, so to speak, of where we're at and the supply channel chain that we have currently. We're still not seeing that market prices have recovered. And in fact, last year was not a very good year for most of our farms. Even though they did produce a lot of product, that doesn't necessarily mean that they made a profit on it, unfortunately. And so it is leading to a decrease in some of the fresh products that we're producing. Some farms chose to abandon or forego their third crop cycle last year, meaning they did not produce anything in the fall. And then we have the transportation challenges. Everyone's seen the pictures of all the backlog at the ports. And exports are very important for what we grow here in Monterey County, particularly for some of the fresh items, including strawberries. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that will help drive change in the agricultural sector, particularly maybe this year, but more in the long-term picture. Of course, water use is coming under a lot of scrutiny right now because of the drought. It does take water to grow crops, and that's just an agronomic fact. And so irrigation efficiencies are really becoming important. And I think the note here is that we are early adopters of trying to get to irrigation efficiencies. Over 70% of our crops now are grown on micro irrigation or drip irrigation, which really has reduced our water consumption for irrigation over the last 20 years considerably. Food safety measures continue to evolve. On-farm use of drones, new testing and sampling processes, and the use of big data for tracing are really going to change how we look at food safety. This is really becoming a focus of our governmental agencies, particularly on a state and federal level. as we start moving into new scientific paradigms related to food safety. And as the science continues to evolve and improve, we will really be challenged to keep up with it when it comes to food safety. When you grow crops outside, there's a lot of things that can happen. Agronomics will continue as high tech continues to change. Seed varieties that may use less water or disease resistant. Other types of agronomic improvements will also help, including irrigation timing. Self-driving equipment may be a game changer for us as we prepare our fields for the various different crops. John Deere just recently showed their self-driving tractors, and others are doing the same. We're also looking at battery operated tractors to get our fields more into a sustainable energy situation. And that leads to the energy use and the efficiencies and the use reductions of electrification of our equipment, the great interest that we've seen on the F-150 electric pickup. Hopefully someone will get one soon. And then the on-site energy generation challenges that we have been facing as we want to make the Central Coast unique in the fact that we are going to be self-sufficient for our energy generation, hopefully within the next 15, 20 years. And that's a big lofty goal to aim for, and agriculture, I think, can play a big part of this as we move forward and really help to move that paradigm and electrify a lot of our energy use at this point. Next slide. Just checking to see how I'm doing on time. Okay. Agricultural research, new plant varieties are now in field tests and are in development also. These are really important for pest and disease resistance. For example, strawberries have over 55 different diseases and pests. So there's a lot of things that can happen to a strawberry plant. And so we need to really move through the best way that we can handle and prevent crop failures, so to speak, and not use more chemicals as we go along. Less water requirements. We're going to be forced into really becoming very efficient with our water use as the droughts become more intense as we go along. That may change some of the crops as well as some of the processes that we use here to irrigate our crops. And then food safety, I talked a little bit about that. But one thing I wanted to highlight is that we have a new collaborative of the California agricultural neighbors, where we're really talking about food safety risks and probable causes because of what happens on either side of the fence, meaning one side of the fence is an agricultural farm producing a lettuce or a vegetable crop, and the other side is a working ranch where you have cattle in nearby approximation to a production field. And does that really cause some sort of risk and root cause that we need to be concerned about with food safety going forward? So this is really going to be a big area in the next 5 years that we're really going to concentrate on as this research and the science comes in to help us manage those two situations on both sides of the fence. And then, of course, everyone talks a lot about soil health and resource conservation practices. There's a lot of programs going on, and sustainability is something that's early adopted here in the Salinas Valley. Next slide. So what are the future outlooks here? Water is going to be critical to farming. Yes. Let's move on to the next slide, please. And I'll hit some bullet points of where I think it's going to go in the next year and longer. Smaller farms are finding it harder to become financially viable. The challenges of all the different things that they have to do this day and age, whether it be labor costs, on-farm practices, compliance with regulations, and just the cost of doing business is really going to challenge our smaller farms as we go forward. Irrigation use, as I've talked about, is going to be very scrutinized in food production settings. Regulatory compliance is becoming much more costly. We've seen in the last decade and a half, essentially since 2007, that the regulatory compliance costs have increased 795% for Central Coast growers at this point. That's based on a study that Cal Poly San Luis Obispo completed for us back in 2018. Land may be fallowed because of land use challenges, meaning if there's not enough water, we won't be able to grow crops. And what do we do with that land at that point? Leaving it fallow is probably not the best choice, since that then creates erosion situations. So we'll have to look at where we put our farms and how our land use is going to move forward, particularly in our general plan. And then labor costs, it's still in a situation where we have high labor costs in California, and the availability of that labor is going to drive more mechanization. There's a lot of research being done into how mechanically possible to harvest our crops. Just think about it. If you have a strawberry that grows more or less hanging down from the plant under the leaves, how do you get a machine with enough lasers and enough high tech to look at a strawberry in a split second and decide whether or not it can be harvested? So those are a lot of challenges that we're going to have to overcome. Crop production probably will change due to marketplace and regulations. This is something that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 decades anyway, but it will become more intense, I think, in the next 4 to 5 years. And then technology is going to drive the overall agricultural paradigm. So I covered a lot here really quick, and I appreciate the time. Thank you. My next screen is my contact info. If you want to reach out to me, please do so by email. That's the best way to reach me at this point. And then I'll be happy to answer questions later on, or are we taking those now from the chat?
Hey, Norm, we've got a couple questions in chat. I got a little active here. I
Okay.
was curious about, is fresh being hit harder than other ag commodities? It sounded like fresh is
Yeah,
taking
it
about
is. You know, it's interesting. We saw a large drop in the fresh products last year produced here, with the exception of strawberries. Strawberries had a very good year because everyone stayed home and decided that they were going to have a treat. And so strawberries had a great production year, had a really good crop, a good market price. And so they did very well. But others have suffered, and that's partly because of the changes in the marketplace, where we had a wholesale shift away from 2 of our market strategies into only retail. And so there was a lot of product on the market that just had no home. And to illustrate that, when we went into lockdown in March 2020, the next 2 to 3 weeks, we plowed under 12,000 acres of crops because they had no market. So that really impacts the bottom line when you look at it. So if you look at other products in California, you'll see that tree fruits and tree nuts did very well. They still maintain their marketplace, partly because people were staying home and bought those treats. But overall, the fresh market did get a big hit due to COVID.
The other thing I was curious about, you're talking about tech change and challenges for small farms, and typically tech change is not good for the smaller producers. But I'm also wondering, given that on the ag labor side, those companies have grown up that basically supply labor to the growers. Do you think we'll see that on the tech side, that these mechanical picking machines or weeding machines are going to be held by third-party companies and basically either rented or some form of or do you think these will be adopted by the individual companies and purchased by the individual companies?
No, I actually think it's going to be a little of both. The larger companies have already purchased a lot of this high-tech equipment, the automated weeders and some of the other automated items that we see running around the fields right now. I think there is also a growing market for the smaller farms to essentially rent or lease that equipment for the time that they need it. And since we do a quick turnaround on our crops here, it makes perfect sense that someone could own that and rent it out to various different farms. Again, that's an additional cost that small farms are going to have to incur.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have to lay out the capital to buy it themselves, but it's still an additional cost that becomes part of the production cycle.
Absolutely. I've got a question here from Jason Bridler, who's asking, what about standing net systems to catch precipitation through the night to help irrigation costs?
You know, we've had some experiments with that here and not really a whole lot of success. We had one company that came here at one time who was trying to capture moisture from fog, since we have a lot of cloud cover and fog, particularly in the Salinas Valley in certain times of the year. And it really never became successful enough to implement on a larger scale. I think that's something that the technology will continue to evolve, and maybe at some point in time that works. But for right now, it hasn't been that successful and hasn't really made that much of a difference.
Got it. Thanks. All right. Thank you very much, Norm Groot. Fun to have you on the program. And we hope to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Renee Wells, who is the Executive Director for the San Benito County Economic Development Corporation. And she started in July 2021. So pretty new, still finding everything in San Benito County, and it's a pretty big county. So it's probably lots to find there. She comes out of an interesting background. She worked for the nonprofit Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation, which many of you will have heard of, and then spent a number of years working in venture capital, and then for a law enforcement training firm. And I've been wanting to ask her which of those came first, and was working for a law enforcement training firm come directly out of her experience in venture capital. But at any rate, she's also managed a large portfolio of residential and commercial properties in San Benito, Salinas, and Monterey County. So she's very steeped in the economics of this region. She is also a high flyer. She's a vice chair of the Hollister Airport Advisory Commission. She's president of the Hollister chapter of the Experimental Aircraft Association. And she's a member of the Hollister Airmen's Association, and is busy obtaining her private pilot's license, which I think is just very, very cool. So Renee, thank you for being here. It's great to have you part of the program. What's happening in San Benito County?
Thanks for inviting me to present. I look forward to working and collaborating with each of you in the future, and for the opportunity to do so. I have only been, as you saw, with the EDC for about 6 months. I guess this is my 7th month. I started my first 3 months, I was economic development coordinator, and we restructured a little bit after I came, and 3 months in, I became executive director. So a lot of changes. It's new for me. I retired, just decided I wanted to volunteer, and then now I'm back working full time practically. So I enjoy it. I commuted for a long time. So even though I've lived in Hollister for 22 years, when you commute out of town, you have a tendency not to know really what's going on in your community so much as that you live and eat there, but you work outside. So I'm thankful that I can work close by, be involved with the city and county, and not have to commute that long distance anymore, and be involved much more with my community. So I wanted just to give you a little bit of information on what the EDC is working on. We're right now in working on taking the lead in the SIDS update for San Benito County for the years 2023 through 2027. I don't know if you all know what the SIDS is. It's the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy document. It's a strategy-driven plan that contributes to effective economic development in the communities and regions throughout the locally based, regionally driven economic development planning process. Engages economic agencies and community leaders, educators, and the public, private and nonprofit sectors to engage in a meaningful conversation and debate about what best serves economic development in our region, so that we can establish a strategic economic development roadmap, so to speak, for regional collaboration and prosperity. So I wasn't involved in the last one, which expires at the end of this year. The big part of the SIDS document, as we call it, is that each county must have a current SIDS in order to qualify for any EDA grants. And so for anyone in the whole county of San Benito, there must be someone who takes on this challenge, puts together the document, which takes about 6 to 8 months, cost about $100,000, and is a big endeavor. And so it has to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. There's a lot of committees. And what happens now is we're presenting our grant application to the EDA to support the 80% of the grant to do the SIDS that we're asking for. And we've had contributions from the EDC and a matching contribution from the City of San Juan Bautista. So we're ready to submit our grant application. Once that process moves forward and we receive the grant, we would send out RFPs to solicit a contractor or consultant to help us prepare the SIDS document, which includes a long process that has lots of committees, works with lots of the city and county agencies and individuals to develop the roadmap for the county. So that's our big project that we're working on now. We're also working with the county and the city. They just approved a tax sharing agreement, which we've been waiting on for a very long time. And so we're working on developing a sphere of influence around our airport area to develop the property and expand businesses in that area. As you know, hopefully you know, around Hollister Airport, we have a lot of open land, and there's a lot of opportunity for development to spotlight our airport. So we're looking forward to working on that. We're working on with the City of San Juan Bautista to help establish an economic development citizens advisory committee for the first time. And we're playing the role of technical advisor along with working with GoBiz and Dana Stroud, looking forward to working on that with them. We're working on a marketing campaign with the Silicon Valley Business Journal to help highlight our businesses and hopefully promote new businesses to bring more jobs to San Benito County. As you know, we have an infrastructure problem because we only have Highway 25 and 156, and they're jam-packed every day. So it's a little difficult to try to work around that and figure out how we can bring businesses in that want to work here and deal with the infrastructure problems. So we're trying to highlight that we have if you bring in companies from San Jose, Los Banos, within a 45-minute, within 45 minutes or a half hour, it's a reverse commute. So we're working to highlight that instead of the problems that we're having with Highway 25 and 156 that are going to take a while. Last, I just wanted to say that we're working to help educate and facilitate grants for San Benito County. They're missing out on a lot. And as working with the Health Foundation for 25 years as a grants and contracts manager, I'm really interested in how many grants are out there and why they're not being taken advantage of. And I realize that the cities of San Juan, San Benito County, and Hollister are not applying for the grants. And there's a lot of issues with why, staffing, and those sort of things. And so the EDC is trying to take the lead in figuring out a way of helping be a co-applicant, being able to help them facilitate those grants moving forward. And we're looking forward to that opportunity, and working on helping the city set up a RAD card program, which is a relief across downtown. It's a digital gift card program to help businesses devastated by COVID using American Rescue Plan funds. And I would be glad to give a presentation at another meeting about the RAD card program. If you haven't heard from it, just send a message in the chat and I'll give you more information about it.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you, Renee. We've got a couple questions here. Dan Ripke is asking, had San Benito Hollister manufacturers been impacted by COVID?
They have not as much as other industries, but they have been impacted and we've been working with them. There have been a lot of companies that have funds to expand, but because of not being able to get staffing, employees, it's been difficult. So they have been impacted that way, and that they're not getting enough employees. And they had to shut down for a temporary amount of time, but most of them are doing stuff that relates to the medical field, food industry, and military. So they've been able to continue work, but there have been some that have had issues. It's more the small businesses that have had the biggest impact, I think.
Got it. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Tiffany Sanders is asking for more information, I think, about the card that you were talking about, which should be
Perfect.
great.
All right.
Good luck to you up there. There's tremendous opportunity in San Benito County. Glad to see you working to make some of those really happen up there. Have you been introduced, by the way, to DART, the Drones Automation and Robotics Technology Initiative Group?
I have not.
We should talk to you. I will reach out to you about that in the near future.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right, then. Next up, we have another economic development guy, Richard Vaughan, who is the economic development manager for the County of Monterey. He's got lots of experience in business retention, attraction, expansion, marketing, foreign direct investment, and international trade efforts. His job is a straightforward one: bring capital investment, job creation, and greater economic opportunities to the County of Monterey. He just joined in August, so we'll give him a couple more months to achieve those goals, because those are pretty lofty goals. Please welcome Richard Vaughan. What's in store for economic development in the county for 2022?
Hi, thank you for the invitation, Brad, and thank you for the great introduction. Great to be here from coming up from Southern California to Monterey County recently. So loving the weather, loving everything about it, and definitely loving the job here so far. So we want to go ahead. We can jump into the next slide, and we can just go ahead and touch on. So I'm more so giving an outlook on what to expect from economic development here in Monterey County. So here is a quick highlight of our vision and goals. We have our overall vision that was put together through the process of the CEDS, as to what Renee was touching on earlier. I believe some of the people here on the panel have actually played a part in this as well. So this will be some of the same news to you. So go ahead. The vision is just to balance conservation of the natural environment with the need to adapt to a rapid changing economic landscape. Monterey County will use civic and institutional assets and provide its businesses, communities, and residents with equitable and sustainable growth, a robust and resilient economic infrastructure, and opportunities to pursue a high quality of life. And what we plan to do over 2022 and beyond, as you know, the CEDS is a 5-year vision and goal, is to tackle these 6 goals that were listed out. So to build a countywide economic development capacity, build, support, and retain a robust and adaptable Monterey County workforce, and working closely with our Workforce Development Board to go ahead and achieve that. Address the housing shortage, affordability, and barriers to new development here in Monterey County, as I'm sure all of you know. Foster development of growing, established, and emerging clusters. So trying to find those industry sectors that are emerging here in Monterey County and figure out how we can go ahead and propel them forward. Strengthen small businesses and entrepreneurship environment here throughout the county. That's one of the big ones that's coming up for 2022. Working with some of the funding that we're getting through, that we've gotten through CARES Act and through the ARPA funding to go ahead and move forward and address some of those issues that our small businesses and entrepreneurs are facing. And lastly, expand the regional broadband infrastructure here in Monterey County. working very closely with our information technology department director to go ahead and make sure that we can bring broadband to everyone here in the county. And next slide, please. So some of the services that we'll actually be bringing through economic development in 2022 and beyond is, we just want you to know that we're a partner in business. We're here to help you. We're here to provide as many resources to our businesses, our city partners, our nonprofit partners here across the county. Some of the things that we'll be able to provide are site selection assistance, project facilitation, regulatory and tax assistance, and the list goes on. Some of these things, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a startup and you're moving from that incubator phase going into, let's just say you're finding a brick and mortar, that's one of the things that we can do here in the county is we can assist you with finding a brick and mortar location across the county, doing a search for you countywide and finding that fit that'll be perfect for you. Anything in the unincorporated county is something that I would definitely be a part of, where I can help you with project facilitation, working with our planning department to go ahead and get you through that process and try to move as quickly as possible. As we know, time is money, and we want to make sure that we cut down all the red tape for you and move you into that building or help you build that infrastructure that you're looking for. Next slide. And so some of the programs to look out for that we have here in Monterey County going into 2022, we have what's known as the Revolving Loan Fund. So this is funding that we have received through the federal EDA. We've written grants and we're receiving this funding now. We have funding that has been brought before. So before I actually arrived here in Monterey County, roughly $1 million that's available for small businesses, startups, and those types of businesses that are unable to secure funding through traditional methods. And we also have additional funding that was brought before through CARES Act funding. So money that's new, that's available in working with some of our partners here in the county to go ahead and assist you with, anything COVID related, how it's been affecting you, if any type of downturn in your business and you're trying to move forward, you need capital for some reason or another, you're not able to get it through those traditional banking methods. What you can do is go ahead and reach out to me here at the county, and we'll go ahead and help you out, put you in contact with our partners, and then see if we can do something to help you out. The next one is our department set aside program. So this is something that I'm sure everyone here is aware of. We work very closely with all of our partners here in the county. And we have some great partners that assist with small business, the film industry, arts community, and tourism industry. And we're more than happy to put you in contact with them and see, what types of programs and assistance they can provide you, and go ahead and make that handoff. Another program that I'd like to touch on is the California Competes Tax Program. So I know Dana will probably touch on this, so I won't steal her thunder on it, but I would say go ahead, get on the GoBiz website. They're providing funding for businesses that are looking at staying and locating here in California. So if you're a business here in Monterey County, we want to make sure that we're able to help you out and help get you some tax incentives to go ahead and expand your business and bring on those new employees and expand your facility. So if you need a support letter or anything like that, feel free to reach out, and I'm more than happy to go ahead and connect with you. And lastly, one of the big ones that we have going forward this next year is economic recovery. So we're looking at this next year, this 2022 that we're already in, and moving into 2023 as figuring out how we can go ahead and help those small businesses and the businesses that have been impacted the most by COVID. So we are spearheading a countywide business retention program in partnership with Monterey County Business Council, and we're also looking at putting together a hospitality and tourism recovery program in partnership with some of my partners here on the panel, the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau. So feel free to reach out once we have those programs solidified, and we'll be more than happy to assist any of the businesses here in the county that are in need of assistance because of COVID. And next slide is my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm always driving around here in Monterey County, going ahead and meeting with businesses, meeting with different individuals. So feel free to call at any time. And that's it for me. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's see, just checking. There's a question here about does the economic development plan complement the climate action plan under draft development? Is there any cross-pollination?
I believe there is. I'll have to go ahead and connect with the individuals that have drafted the climate action plan, but I know I did have some input. And before I arrived, there was input by way of the SEDS. Excellent.
And Daniela was actually asking Norm, where can she find out more about the climate action plan? Do you know where people could go to find out more information about the climate action plan?
I would go to the Monterey County website. I'm sure we have something up on that. If not, I'm more than happy. Reach out to me and I can track the information down for you.
Cool. Cool. And the county economic development strategies, the SEDS documents that Renee mentioned and you made reference to, those are public documents, right? That people can get to?
Yes. Yes, those are correct. Yeah, correct. Those are public documents up on our website.
And for those not familiar with them, those are important documents because there are a lot of decisions that are made based on the priorities that are laid out in those SEDS documents. So those are good things to be familiar with if you're involved in economic development, like starting a business in the county. And each individual county is required by the state to have this county economic development strategy document. So thank you very much, Richard. Welcome aboard to you. Welcome aboard to Renee. I look forward to working with both of you as we go forward here, helping you achieve your goals. All right. So our final speaker for the night, we're moving up to the state level here. And Dana Stroud has a new position that has been created in the governor's office. She is the regional representative from GoBiz. So she's interested in looking at our region here and supporting us in economic development. And I'm going to let her talk more about how she sees that happening. We have already started working with Dana. It's been a great relationship so far, and it's brand new, literally weeks old. So, Dana, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Brad, thank you. It's great to see many familiar faces and names on this. I realize that I'm standing between you and that bowl of ice cream. So we'll go through this quickly, but I want to provide you with just a brief overview of GoBiz and what we do and what I do and how we can provide some assistance. So very quickly, GoBiz is the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. We are contained within the governor's administration that way. We are the first point of contact for economic development and job creation efforts here in the state. We offer services to business owners, to communities, and to site selectors. The division that I'm in specifically is the California Business Investment Services, or what we affectionately call CalBiz. And with this, we kind of do what Richard was talking about and what Renee talked about that they do at the county level. We do also with consultation, site selection, and most importantly, the incentive navigation for businesses in the state of California. We have, in addition to the CalBiz side of it, we also have the permitting office that helps with permit issues. We have a Northern and a Southern California based team. We have the Office of Business Small Advocate, or what we affectionately refer to as OSBA. And within that division, they run several significant programs offering support for small business development and entrepreneurs. We have an International Affairs Office that works on behalf of the state of California to connect with foreign direct investment opportunities that have expressed an interest in California. Richard mentioned the Cal Competes tax credit situation. I put a link into the chat room where you have access to that program directly. We also house the Film Commission for California. We also house what we call iBank, or what is known as the Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank. They focus specifically on loan guarantees and financing options for businesses here in California. We have a division dedicated to the ZEV vehicles, or the zero emission vehicle infrastructure. Visit California is also falls within the governor's office under our travel and tourism. While it's a separate entity, they are also governed here in the governor's office. So tourism is a part of our portfolio. And then significantly, something that is new happening is clean energy efforts, and a focus on potential venture capital opportunities around clean energy. In CalBiz, we've divided the state up into regions, and I happen to be the newest member of that team. I represent the Central Coast, and within CalBiz, the Central Coast is defined as Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Monterey, and San Benito counties. I'm physically located in Paso Robles. That's my home base. It's where I grew up. It's where my family grew up. We homesteaded out on the east side of town. So I have some significant, background in the Central Coast, even though I spent almost 15 years down in Southern California in the hotel industry. I spent almost 15 years over in the Eastern Sierra working in the travel and tourism industry over there, as well as in working for the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, another state agency. So I have significant interest in the Central Coast because this is home base, and I get to reflect on a lot of the historical perspective that I have about the area as well. I also have colleagues that cover the North Coast and the northern part of the state. I have colleagues in the Central Valley, in the Central Sierra, in the Bay Area, and in Los Angeles itself, as well as Imperial and San Diego counties. So we cover the state, and we are all in place to have this interaction with so many of our regional partners out there. A couple of key things. I'm going to look into the future just a little bit. Many of you are aware that the governor issued his budget for the proposed budget for 22-23 fiscal year. One of the key programs that is proposed for funding in there is our Community Economic Resilience Fund, or what we affectionately refer to as CERF, C-E-R-F. It has divided the state of California into 13 different regions with a focus on economic growth and regional collaboration. In last year's budget, there was $600 million in that budget for the CERF program. In this proposed budget, there's another $450 million for that CERF program. I share that with you because there is significant emphasis on regional collaboration. And there are going to be several opportunities for you all to engage collectively together around strategies and identifying priority projects that you wish to pursue implementation funding for. And so I throw these acronyms out because we're going to start diving into this here into the future. So keep CERF in the back of your mind, because many of you are probably going to be involved in that. Finally, I just want to kind of offer up in the budget this year, in the proposed budget, there is significant investment around climate change, and you're going to see several different programs that are going to be proposed to be funded around zero emission vehicles, around clean energy development, around workforce training and education. So you see that the governor has a significant interest in how the state of California is going to be resilient and adapting to this climate change and what it brings to it. So it just got released on Monday. It has to go through the process. We hope that in June, when the legislation has to adopt it, we'll see what ends up being in that budget. But that's the significant focus, and it's rather exciting to think about these new emerging opportunities that will be coming out through this proposed funding. I didn't have anything else to add. I'm looking forward to working with you. If you have small business interests, I'm happy to connect you with our Office of Small Business Advocacy or our OSBA fans. I think the most important takeaway for you on this, GoBiz and this particular position I'm in, we are the dot connectors for you, or the conduit of information. There are several important and very innovative incentive and financing programs that are available for business development here in the state of California. Sometimes it's just not as well known as perhaps it could be. So that's where we've made the commitment to make sure that we are communicating and we're sharing all of this important information so that our businesses and our entrepreneurs here in the state of California can take advantage and benefit from the investment that the state makes in our businesses here in California. So with that, I will hop off and certainly answer any questions that you might have, but very much looking forward to engaging with all of you. I think of the three of us, between Renee and Richard, I'm the newest one. I started at the end of October. And so I get to quickly catch up with everyone else, but looking forward to meeting you in person and certainly sharing resources and information as needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana. With the three of you on board, I see a bright future for economic development in this region. Great to have you. Thank you for being here. Are there any, excuse me, just, excuse me, it's not COVID. Does anybody have any questions they would like to pose? Contact information. Daniela Bryan's asking for your contact information. Her email address is up there, so that should work.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank very much our panel this evening. Let's roll back to, there we go, Paul Martin, Jennifer Coker, Norm Groot, Renee Wells, Richard Vaughan, and Dana Stroud. Thanks to those presenters. They did a great job. There's a ton of information there that provides the context for what we as entrepreneurs are doing as we go forward. So thank you all very much. Let's bring this home so we can go get that bowl of ice cream that Dana was talking about. Huh? Now you got me looking for ice cream, Dana. Remember to join the in-crowd, subscribe to the IIED monthly newsletter. It's got information about companies and events happening in the area. Let's roll forward. We'll put that in chat. Special thanks to our sponsors, Cal State Monterey Bay, Startup Monterey Bay, the Economic Development Administration, and the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership. And we'll see you in February. Look at social not-for-profits. As I said, Monterey County is one of the highest concentrations of not-for-profits in the country. Some great not-for-profits get started here, and we want to feature a bunch of them for you to take a look at. So see you back here Tuesday, February 8th. Don't know if we'll be online yet at the moment. My guess is yes, we'll have one more month online, and then hopefully Omicron will burn itself out and we'll be back from, as somebody said earlier tonight, I like that, we'll have moved back from URLs to IRL. So in real life will dominate. Thank you all very much. Have a great month. See you at Startup Weekend at the end of the month. Take care, everybody.